a slightly richer, nicer version of the biscuit and chocolate and cream Torrini Rocky Road parfait terrine thing that I made. This time we're going to use malted milk biscuits, which are slightly nicer than the rich tea. They've got like that malty, milky, hence the name, malted milk flavour to them, which makes them just that little bit nicer. They're nice and thin, and we're going to put in some butter as well. So we have boiled the cream, and we smashed up the chocolate. We'll just give it another crack. So dead easy. Give it a crack with the rolling pin. Boil the cream. Don't add the chocolate to the boiling or boiled cream. Best to add the chocolate to the cream to the chocolate, and there'll be enough heat in the boiled cream to melt the chocolate like that. We'll just need to give it a stir as it melts. It won't take long. Like that. Get that out of the way, and then when it's cooled slightly and the chocolate's mixed into it, we're going to add the butter. So it's 200 milliliters double cream. Has to be double cream, not single, not whipping. Has to be double, and it has to be dark chocolate. Can't be milk chocolate, otherwise it just goes, chocolate just goes too milky and just not very nice and doesn't set just quite as well. So it needs to be dark chocolate. Don't worry if you're not a fan of dark chocolate. There's enough cream and butter in this to compensate for the darkness. So by the time we're finished, it will actually take more. It'll taste more like a milk chocolate than it ever does a dark chocolate. So that's melted in, and there's 25 grams there. I know because I weighed it. So we'll just break that up a little bit with our fingers, and then we need to whisk that in. Whisk it in so it's completely amalgamated into it. So we just need to keep going, and then what we're going to do is we're going to layer up chocolate in the bottom, and then a layer of biscuits on top, and then a layer of chocolate, and then a layer of biscuits, and then a layer of chocolate, and then a layer of biscuits, until we run out of chocolate. We won't run out of biscuits because we probably need more. We probably need less biscuits than that's in that packet. And then what we're also going to do is we're going to make like a brickwork towards the biscuits as well. So when we turn it out and we cut into it, it's got kind of quite a nice pattern to it. So it looks like the butter has all mixed into there. So we can take that out, get rid of it. We need a spoon, and we need a knife. Just cut through the biscuits, that can go out of the way. So pretty straightforward. Chocolate in the bottom, like that, and then a layer of biscuits. I won't do it all, I'll just give you the rough idea of what you should be doing. So, how the biscuit's going to fit in. Yes, the biscuits will fit in, so we go one malted biscuit in the bottom like that, another one next to it, and then there isn't enough space for a whole one, so we'll just have to cut it, like about there. Doesn't matter if there's gaps in between, that all adds to the character of whatever this is going to be. If it's going to be a snack or a cake or a pudding or whatever you want it to be. So squish those down a bit. Bit more chocolate, just a bit, not much. Doesn't need to cover it entirely because the biscuit's going to squish into it. Now what we're going to do is, because we want to make a lattice work, not a lattice work, a brick work, we're going to put the biscuits in another direction. So that there, just make sure that that did that. Then we can use this bit here just to go in there, and then there's not enough room for that biscuit to go there, so we just need to shave a little bit off the biscuit there. We'll put that one at that side. Also, by making a brickwork of the biscuits, we're building in strength to this as well. So if you've ever done any plasterboarding, no, I don't need to use that. But if you've ever done any plasterboarding, you know that you can't have lots of edges, lots of the boards straight in line with each other. It needs to be staggered. So that's what we're doing here as well. So that bit there, press down as we go. Another layer of chocolate, and then we can do the same that we did in the first layer. But remember, it was the cut off one at that end. So what we can do is we'll pull the full one at that end, and then do another full one there. And these containers they're not square, they're slightly fluted. So you'll find that you don't need to cut off as much of the biscuits as you get closer to the top. But you get an idea of what I'm doing there. So I don't need to show you anymore. Well, I'll finish off this layer like that. And we'll put that one there. And then we'll kind of repeat again and again and again. More chocolate, more biscuits, more chocolate, more biscuits. Different ways, different patterns, just so it's nice and strong and looks pretty when we cut into it tomorrow. Because it needs to set up at the night. So I'll carry on going. We'll get to the top. I haven't worked out the recipe yet. I haven't worked out the cost yet, but it's going to be quite cheap, is this, and it's going to be really delicious as well. So I'll come to the top. I'll show you how to finish it off, and then it'll go in the fridge. Because you don't need to see this next bit. It's just me doing the same again and again, and I'm waffling. I'll stop. Oh, we're going. Right, so as you can see, finished off. This bottom one here is a bit of a hiddly-piddly patchwork, but that's fine. We just need to put the rest of the chocolate over the top just to seal it and make it look prettier, and we don't want to waste that chocolate. There's enough biscuit in there now, so I'll scrape that on top of there. The butter, the malted biscuits are a little bit more expensive, so the first one I made was with rich tea biscuits, so it was kind of like a how cheap can I make it. This one, malted biscuits, are just that little bit nicer and just that little bit more expensive. So, and the butter adds just a richness, and it makes it slightly more expensive, but just makes it just that little bit richer. So I'm all about trying to balance the cost of things with making things as nice as possible. So there is a danger that the biscuits want to start to float, so sometimes you just need to keep an eye on it for a bit. Just half an hour or so, just to keep pressing it down, just to kind of come back to it now and again and just kind of press the biscuits down, because you don't want all chocolate at the bottom and all biscuits at the top. So that's it. Fridge overnight, let it go solid in the fridge overnight, and then we'll have a look at it tomorrow, but it'll be spot on, I hope. Right, so as you can see here, well, you'll see, the biscuits have started to float to the top of the chocolate. Of course, obviously they are lighter than chocolate, so we just need to keep an eye on it for the first half an hour before it goes into the fridge, and we just need to keep pressing it down just a little bit. So as you'll see, just like that, you'll see the chocolate want to squidge up to the top. If we don't do this, it's not going to be particularly uniform when we take it out of the mould. We just need to do this so it compacts it down, keeps it all in place, and then we'll have a nice solid rectangle. So I did think that I could get away with it and put a weight on top, but obviously that's going to squish it down too much. So just for the first half an hour, just keep pressing it down. I've made a mess of my fingers, and then get a spoon. I've got one type of spoon, and then just kind of go over it with a spoon, just to kind of make things nice and even. It's not important to make it even, but you do need to press it down now and again, because you want it to be compact and look as pretty as it can do. So just for the first hour before half hour before you put it in the fridge. You don't need to put it in the fridge. It will set. There's enough chocolate in there and the biscuits that it will set out of the fridge, but it's just better that it's kept in the fridge and it's cold, and then we can cut through it a lot easier. So just for the first half hour, just keep pressing it down until the chocolate sets and keeps the biscuits in place. But then straight in the fridge overnight. Right, it's been in the fridge overnight and it has completely set. So, difficult to get out of a container like that, so it's a bit of a chefy trick. What you do, we just need some slightly warm water, and what that will do, that will melt the chocolate around the outside just enough to release it from the container. Fingers crossed, always fingers crossed. Get rid of that excess water from the outside. It doesn't have to be hot water, just warm enough to melt the chocolate, and then it'll just plop out of the container with a little bit of help. Oh, come on, you swine. And there we go. That's right. Oh, well, it's got a nice shine on it because of the butter, and we just slightly melted it. So just need to pour that warm water into a taller container. And then it's a bit of a chef trick, but to cut into things like chocolate and pastries and custards and all that kind of stuff, what you just need to do is just need to warm your knife up in some warm water, wipe the excess water off, and then what that will do is you'll be able to cut through things like chocolate just that little bit easier. So this version is slightly more luxurious than the other version because of the butter. So there wasn't that much butter in it, but it's just going to make it a little bit softer at room temperature and a lot richer in flavour. If you wanted to add some alcohol as well, that will make it even nicer than it's going to be. So you kind of think along the lines of whiskey or rum or brandy, or some kind of like a cherry liqueur would be nice. Depending on what biscuit you wanted, something like a Cointreau or something like that, to add like another kind of depth of like flavour of alcohol. And then something like orangey as well would work really well, because you think chocolate and orange work really well, cherry and chocolate work really well. So that kind of thing would work really well. My knife's now cold because I've been waffling. So we'll cut into it. What we'll do is, you imagine when you're dividing things, you kind of think you want to find halfway, and then we can portion that way. So we'll get 6 good portions out of this, probably more, but it depends how generous you want to be. So that's the centre, and then we just have to think that's about a 6, and that's about a 6. So you get 6 good round portions, or if you wanted to do 8, you'd do the same with 8. So you kind of go centre and then half of the centre again there, and another one there, and then that gives you 8. But we won't do that. We'll do 6. So we'll slice here, and then you kind of see. So the malted biscuits are just nicer than the rich tea, but any biscuits that you fancy, as long as they're thin, nothing too thick. So shortbread would work as long as you've got a thin shortbread, not those thick ones. Oh, look at that. Have I mucked up, or is it just? No, we just cut through where there was a gap in the biscuit. So as you can see, or is it just pure chocolate at the bottom? I think it might just be pure chocolate. Yeah, it's pure chocolate at the bottom. So I didn't push it down enough, but that's not a bad thing. It just means that you get that nice lump of chocolate at the top of it. In fact, I think maybe that might be even kind of quite nice. So maybe in future what I would do is I would push the biscuits further down to the bottom of the container, and then I put a thicker layer of chocolate on top, and that would be kind of like a really luxurious layer. I might even, if I was being fancy, the layer that I put on the top, like there instead of there, that's where I put the alcohol, maybe. So kind of keep a little bit of the chocolate mixture back for the top, and then that's where I'd add a teaspoon or so of the alcohol, just to kind of get that different kind of flavour and kind of taste. That would make it even more interesting. But there we go. The malted milk biscuits are really good, but you want thin biscuits, nothing too thick. So you can get like thick shortbread that's about so thick, but like you can get thinner shortbread, I'm sure. But thin shortbread would work. Ginger nuts would really work. Digested biscuits would really work. Chocolate chips would work. Anything, any kind of biscuit that you've got around, even like a mixture of biscuits would work really well. So kind of like different layers, different biscuits. That would be interesting, like flavour kind of contrast. I think I was slightly put off by using the ginger nuts, because ginger nut biscuits can be kind of quite hard. But I think that would work kind of quite well, because the biscuits tend to go soft, and I think actually the ginger nut biscuits would keep that extra kind of crunch to them. So kind of mix the biscuits up, do whatever kind of want, but I think I've forgotten to work out the price. I was doing other things and it completely slipped my mind, and I started filming. I was just like, I haven't worked out the price. But probably with the butter, how much butter was there? Was 25 grams. So it's about 14 pence. Yeah, about 14 pence, and so we're probably looking at about £1.40, something like that, for 6 slices. That's not bad. Pretty good, pretty easy. Certainly something that you can attempt yourself. Certainly something nice to make with the kids. It's basically a Rocky Road refrigerator cake, but also kind of, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking it's it's almost like a Rice Krispie bun or a cornflake bun type of thing as well. So I think you could use the same chocolate mixture, and you could make it with cornflakes and kind of do it that way if you wanted to kind of make your cornflake buns look really kind of quite posh and do like an interesting take on them. You could make it with cornflakes or Rice Krispies, put it in that container, serve it like that, and then with some nice like softly whipped double cream, and a few like raspberries, and maybe a bit of raspberry juice. You could serve that to people, and I think it'd be like quite a fun pudding to have, because it would bring you back your memories of the Rice Krispie buns, like rice cornflake buns, but in a kind of like posher, grown-up kind of way, and the addition of alcohol. I think that'd be really interesting. I'll probably make a video on that, actually. Now I'm thinking about it, I think that'd be a nice, fun thing to do. And I think if you had friends of a certain age and you served them that as a pudding at a dinner party, I think that'd be great, and certainly fun, a fun idea. So yeah, you could only really do it once, because they'd only really like it once, and you couldn't do it all the time as your signature dish, but fun and interesting. But anyway, there we go. It's cheap, it's fun, it's easy, it's effective, and doesn't it look great with all kind of, you can see it's like a block pattern, you know. Yeah, I think there you go. It's great. I think it's wonderful. I'm going to give it away, because otherwise I'll just sit and eat all that this afternoon. But there we go. I don't know what it's called. I can't think of a name, but there you go.